Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be walking through how to set up and use the Hafele remote software. During the video today, we'll break it down into 3 different sections. The first one will focus on what needs to be entered in the Hafele Axos system. Next, we'll walk through how to set up the computer, ensuring there is communication. And then finally, we'll go ahead and take a look at the software. Alright, so now let's go ahead and let's get started. The first thing you want to be sure you have is the activation keys from Hafele. Now, if you are renting the test system from us, we'll include it with the test system in most cases. Should you go out there, though, and you want to purchase it for your own system, you can get those directly through the different Hafele sales channels. Now, you will notice we do have our activation key right now in front of us, and you will notice along the bottom third there, we do have some really basic instructions for how to enter this activation key into the Hafele system. We'll be using this information at the bottom of this page in conjunction with the user manual section 14, which pertains to remote software, and it begins on page 76. Also, during today's video, we're going to be using an Ethernet connection from our Axos to our computer. There is other options out there, however, this is one that we typically use. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the display on our Axos 8 system. Okay, here is the starting menu for our Hafele Axos 8. Now let's go ahead and select the setup icon. Alright, so this is the setup page. It's got a whole variety of different information here you can modify. However, there is some information here that you do want to take note of, and that's going to be the third option down from the right, remote GUI. And then all the way on the bottom, we have communication addresses. And we're to use that information later. But for now, let's go ahead and hit the miscellaneous button at the bottom. And let's take a look at the license manager. Alright, here you're going to find the license manager menu. And taking a look at the menu, you will see we have our application keys on the left and our function keys on the right. And that's where you're going to go ahead and you're going to enter the remote GUI license key. And you can do that by just selecting it right there and then entering the key right there. Alright, so once that entered, you just hit OK. And then we already have that entered today, so we're going to go ahead and hit cancel. And this is going to take you back to our setup menu. Alright, so as we mentioned previously, let's go ahead and take a look at the communication menu briefly. Alright, so here's the communication menu, and this is where you go ahead and you grab that IP address and subnet mask, which we're going to use that information later when we are setting up communication with our computer. Alright, so the final thing you're going to need to change into the setup menu, and that's going to be the remote GUI, which is currently off. And then when you do switch it to on, it will shut down the system, and then you will have to restart it. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now let's take a little bit of time and be sure we get communication going from our Axos system to our computer. The first thing we're going to need to do is make some adjustments in our Internet Protocol version 4 properties, which you can see we have pulled up right here. And this is how it looks on the Windows system. So what we are going to need to do is we're going to need to change that IP address. What we're going to use as kind of a starting point is going to be the IP address that you can see on the display on the Axos system. And we're going to need to make a minor modification. So with that last digit of the IP address, this number needs to be 2 higher or 2 below that number in order for there to be communication. So in our example, we had a ending in .3. We increased that number 2, bringing it to .5. And then we also changed the subnet mask as well to reflect the information that was provided by the Axos system. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at the VNC viewer. And what I'll do is I'll add a link in the description that'll take you to the corresponding webpage. Alright, so we just clicked through the link that was provided on the user manual for the Axos systems. And it did take us to the real VNC download page for the VNC viewer. Now you can see right below kind of the desktop and mobile little icons there. You do have several different options. Go ahead and select and download the appropriate one. And now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the VNC Viewer. Okay, here you're going to find the VNC Viewer software, and when you start it up, it should look something like this. So taking a look at our screen right now, you will see we have already created a connection right there, and we do have it labeled Axos 8. During today's video, we're going to go ahead and create a new connection. So let's go ahead and go in the upper left-hand corner to File, and scroll down to New Connection. All right, perfect. You should see it pop up in the middle of the screen there. And the first box, which we're currently on, is VNC Server. That information, that's going to be the IP address that we saw on the display of the Axos system. So let's go ahead and let's enter that quickly. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and click down to Name. We'll just call this Axos for now. All right, and then we're going to hit OK. Excellent. So you should see that new icon appear, and you will see we have one in the upper left corner, which just says Axos. Now, when you're ready to go ahead and connect to the Axos system with the VNC Viewer, just go ahead and right-click it and then hit Connect. Okay, here is the remote control software from Hafele, and just as the name implies, it provides the exact same criteria and look as the display of our Axos 8 system. And you can see we have the same icons: surge, EFT burst, voltage dip, magnetic field, and ring wave. And when you do select and modify the different criteria through the software, you'll see those same changes on the display of the Axos system. Now let's go ahead and let's click the surge icon. All right, here is the combination wave surge test menu, and you will see a series of boxes along the top, and then another vertically along the right side, and then just below the waveforms, you will find some of the testing criteria, which you can modify right there. So all the menus in the Axos system will be pretty similar to this one here, with a waveform or some information in the middle, and then some of the criteria, and then options and boxes along the outside. So that should just about wrap it up for today. We hope this video has been useful as we've walked through a little bit about how to set up the Hafele Axos remote control software. And please keep us in mind if you're ever in need of any rental Hafele transient test systems. Thank you.